Mad Dog Russo on NBC Sports Bay Area. He would like to talk about Farhan Zaidi.
He's been there now 5 years. How many good years has he had? One, correct? Now, if I'm on the radio for 5 years and I have one good year, am I getting a new contract?
Nope.
If you're a manager of a baseball team and you're there for 5, Belichick was in Cleveland. Belichick. He had 5 years. He had one playoff year. What'd they do? They fired him. That's Bill Belichick. Zaidi's not Bill Belichick. And they had Brady. Eventually, you got to win.
Okay. Eventually, you got to win is obvious. I think that it's a little simplistic to come at it the way he did with regard to these are the rules, 5 years, one good year means you're fired. I'd much rather look at this contextually. I understand there are plenty of Giants fans who share this belief. However, you also listen to what we're talking about today. We're not just talking about the last 5 years.
Right.
We're talking about literally the entire time this ballpark is open, even during which wonderful championships happened. I just want to know why they can't hit.
Right. Well, and why they can't hit and other teams can hit, even though hitting is down. This is what he was really brought in to do, right? Was to turn the farm system around, resurrect the farm, and this is now year 5 where the guys he drafted, the guys who he pinpointed should be coming up and they should be making an impact. And you and I were chatting during the break about some of the names, Luciano and Ramos and Matos and Bishop and even Casey Schmidt. Most of these guys are still at AAA. Some are doing well, some aren't doing that great, but at what point do we start to churn some of the major league failing guys and bring up some of these youngsters and give them a chance to at least show if they can do it at the major league level or not?
Well, there is a fair, if you want to get into that, there's a fair conversation right now, literally as we speak, as Slates strikes out again on 3 pitches in a pinch hitting performance as a right-handed hitting outfielder. Fair conversation if somebody said, oh, what about Ramos? I know people are going to be like, what about Matos? That was what people were saying at the beginning of the year. Peep the numbers in Sacramento. Matos is struggling. Ramos is not.
No.
Ramos is stinging the ball. His OPS is barely below 1,000. He's got 7 home runs. The average is just shy of 300. Ramos is swinging it. I don't know that we're that far off from at least that conversation starting. It gets complex. It gets complex because that's 40-man roster stuff. Austin Slater is a signed major leaguer. You can't just be like, okay, we cut you. We cut you. If it was someone where you're like, oh, let's take a look at Ramos and send this other guy down. Can't do that. So, are you just, it's if you let him go, you got to be sure that whoever comes up is taking the reins the rest of the way.
Yes.
I don't think they're ready to do that.
No, but you do have the use of the IL that you can go with. And,
True.
This is kind of what we do in the NBA with load management. It's like knee soreness or tendonitis or some of these other things that you can concoct. You can go to Slates and say, Slates, I mean, can we just be frank here? You're 3 for 30. You've had 30 ABs. You have 3 hits. The Giants played 3 games in Boston. They had 3 runs. You've got 3 hits, my brother. It might be time for you to take a 10-day powder and see if we can't get you some rehab ABs or more time in the cage or something, because this is not working.
The Giants need a bag boy. That's what they need. Walk over to Slates' locker. Slates, you're hurt. No, I'm not. You are now. Pow. I mean, just step on the foot. Ramos is up. Let's take a look. Mad Dog wasn't done. NBC Sports Bay Area.
If I was the owner of the San Francisco Giants and the GM with a big payroll has had one good year, and is this year 5?
It's year 6.
This is year 6.
He would not be running my team anymore. Sorry, I'm not doing it. I got to have more than 1 year, and he's got 2 more years. Does he have a job for life? I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, there it is. So didn't hold any punches, and I know that there's plenty of people who agree with this. I will say the whole extension thing, short extension, I think that seat is hotter than we realize. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, and the only reason why he got an extension was because you brought in a new manager, and so you wanted to make them coterminous. You wanted to line them up with each other so that if this doesn't work out, then you get to a spot where you get rid of both of them. And I thought last year would have been the opportunity to remove Farhan Zaidi. When you were removing Gabe Kapler, they came in together virtually, and so you would show them the door together, but Farhan was able to convince the powers that be to give him another chance, and so here we are.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about Farhan. Like, did you like the offseason? Did you like the moves that they made? How'd you feel about it?
Felt good. Felt better than I had at any other time.
I agree with you. They finally landed some big names. Quite frankly, the only people that were like real misses were Ohtani and Yamamoto, and obviously those were highly difficult. And, you know, I'm told the Dodgers are a thing. All right, fine. So I can get my head around that if you can pivot and do something else, and I felt very strongly that they did. So here we are having the Farhan conversation again, when in actuality, he finally went out and did what everybody wanted him to do. Now, look, them's the breaks. The boss is usually the one that's going to pay when things are not going well. So I'm not saying it shouldn't be that, but kind of interesting to look at it from that perspective. It's like he went out and got the people you wanted him to get.
Right.
They're not doing it. Whose fault is that?
Farhan Zaidi.
Okay.
It's not his fault, but, you know, it's a results game. And the thing that is becoming more and more his fault is the lack of farm production. And, you know, he didn't draft all these guys, but the guys who we all have been waiting for have not come up and produced. So at some point there will have to be a fall guy. But the thing about Farhan is he's getting this year for sure. And he's probably getting next year as well.
Look, we do have to. We could be having this conversation, and they could win 10 in a row.
Correct.
And right, like, I mean, do you know what their playoff odds are right now? What would be your guess?
Probably
the Giants are 2 games under 500, but they're also in second place.
The odds are probably 47%.
Oh wow, gosh, I thought you'd guess lower.
No.
It's not quite that high. It's not quite that high.
But they're only like 5 back of the Dodgers,
right.
And in the wild card, if there is such a thing right now, they're probably a game out of the card. I'd have to look at the actual standings, but
I could tell you here pretty quick. In the wild card race, the Giants are a game and a half out.
So there you go.
But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams ahead of them. That just means everybody's right there.
Pretty much.
That just means we've only played, you know, whatever we've played, 30 games or so.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, there's 7 teams within 2 games of 500 in the National League.
A few things to let everybody know about. FP's